they mentions like, oh, Protestants and all that. So I'm like, hey, let's have a go on that. And of course, I'm a Protestant. I'm, I guess, a radical Protestant. That's what be seen in nowadays is incredible because in the past, Protestants were just, oh, by the way, that's in regards of the Jesuit order, in regards of Ian Paisley or something like that. I'm not entirely sure how you. No, anyway, that's very interesting information from him. He was also a Protestant. So, but actually, in regards to what they're taking forward, they're seemingly again defending Roman Catholicism. It seems to be like the last video in regards of in regards of Christ Mass, in regards of the guy sitting to the left, and defending Christ Mass, which is pagan, and anyone that says otherwise is utterly blind. But anyway, so last time they used a lot of hours, or actually was it a 1.5 hour I guess it was my video that actually became pretty long. So I do wonder if they're going to try to defend Roman Catholicism again. But, let's just pull a little inside here. So they're going to see this Mohammedan speak, and they will try to, talk about the information. But anyway, let's see. I think this is after the first time, so we have like the second time. And they're laughing a little about and making a little fun in regards of, actually maybe we should take it in context and see the first clip. So I can't remember what the guy is called, the guy to the left, but anyway, he talks about, how stupid arguments that, the Mohammedans provide, and then he shows this. But I'm not entirely, I'm not entirely sure that that's, there's some truth to it, absolutely. But let's go forward here.
Islam from America. He converted from Christianity to Islam when he was a young man. And he gives his testimony. Basically, he had no evidence, no foundation for Christianity, didn't believe there was any evidence for it.
Yes.
Accepted it all by faith. And then a Muslim came along and showed that there's good evidence for Islam. And so now he's become a massively popular Muslim speaker. But because he doesn't debate, he can kind of say whatever he wants to his Muslim audience. And you're going to get a bit of an idea of what passes for good argumentation among Muslim apologists who don't face you in debate. So we're gonna look at 3 short clips here, and I've just divided them up so that we can sort of.
So I think I've only seen 2 of the clips. But anyway, let's move on.
Comment on each one.
But I'm going to ask you a question. And I want you to be honest. This is not for you to, start a debate, but just be honest. Was Jesus a Catholic?
And no, Jesus was not a Catholic, because the Catholics are worshipping a cookie. Anyway, but Jesus had warned us about wolves in sheep clothing coming afterwards. That there would come people that would, that could, if possible, deceive the elect. So we were of course expecting that the good eatable wheat and the poisonous darnel would grow up together. So anyway, let's go on.
And it's not open to debate, so there's no point in opening that up, because and I know he wasn't. The Catholic Church was in business about 300 years before Jesus was born.
Now, that's interesting that he says that, but you have to remember that the whore was already there at the beginning of, she's riding on all the 7 heads according to the book of Revelation. Now, if the whore is Rome, the great city that rules over the kings of the earth, well, she would already have been there by the first head. And we already, according to Wikipedia anyway, and of course one have to be careful, but according to Wikipedia, the second king already gave the, gave rules or commands to the pontifex, to the Pontifex Maximus. And that's, of course, the high pagan priest. So the system was already there. Now, where do you find the Pontifex Maximus in our days? Well, you find him in Rome. Now, I'm not entirely sure when the Romans, in regards to the year, in regards to the kingdom and all that. I'm not so good at history in regards to. But the first head, it's all, she's riding on all seven heads. It's interesting. People always, she's riding on the beast. No. She's, not riding. Sitting. She's sitting on these 7 heads. So she's already there. She's already there from the very beginning. Anyway, so I haven't gone into history and tried to figure that thing. Overall, there's a lot of things that I don't know. But anyway, let's go on.
It's on their website. Don't go like this. It's on their website. That's where I took it from. The Catholic Church was really started in Rome by Alexander the Great.
Now that seems, to me unlikely. I don't think Alexander the Great was ever in Rome. I haven't heard any historical sources that talks about him being in Rome. But of course, after the Roman Empire began to expand, of course, everything, wicked goes to Rome. But so Rome absorbed so many things from all over the territory, everything going to that place. Anyway, so I have no idea. I wouldn't think that would be true. But again, I don't know enough history to actually, refute it or not. But actually, the thing is, the hall is already there from the very beginning. The hall is there from the first head. So anyway, let's go on.
Did you catch that? So
Yes.
the Catholic Church was in business 3 centuries before Christ. And
The thing is, you still have to have it in context that the Roman Catholic Church, came later on. But the thing is, it was, in the past, it was, let's try to rephrase that. The pagan mystery religion of Rome was already there before Jesus, was revealed, before he walked on the earth and was executed and all that for the sins of the world. The Roman, mystery religion was already there in effect. Now later on, that Roman mystery religion take on sheep clothing. She is baptized, but she is still persecuting the truth and still persecuting the Christians. So actually in the 4th century there was more persecution than the centuries put together in the past, as far as I understand it from sources. So she was already there before, but she just took on sheep clothing.
was founded in Rome by Alexander the Great. So,
I wonder what Alex.
In regards to the founding of Alexander the Great, I have no idea where he would get that information from. In regards to the Mohammedan, that seems that seems kind of, was Alexander even in Rome at any point in history? And I don't remember hearing anything of him being in Rome. Of course, I haven't studied that much history, but anyway, let's go on. But I do wonder if they're going to try to defend the Roman Catholic Church. But they are actually going into these so-called radical Protestants, But we'll get to that.
Alexander was doing in Rome.
yeah, he went the other direction, didn't he?
Oh my! And I wonder what he thinks the Catholic Church believed in. If there was 300 years before Christ, they must have proclaimed something very different than Jesus.
And yet you have to remember that before the Roman Catholic Church, before it became, this, looking like making itself out to be a Christian institution, it was the Roman pagan mystery religion. So again, it was there before Christ entered the creation and all that. Again, the horse sits on all 7 heads. And in the time of John, 5 heads had been, and the 6th was. And then the 7, which is the dukes, as far as I know, after the Caesars, that should be for a while. And after the dukes is the beast, and the beast is one of the 7, and that will be number 6, and is the beast itself. And when Yeshua comes back, he will throw the Antichrist into the lake of fire. Yeah. But anyway, mostly I've been studying the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation from a bit. I took it from opening things up from the Bible and then looking into history and Anyway, it's the 6th head. I know what the 1st head is, and the 6th head and the 7th head, pretty much. That's those 3 heads that, as far as I can gather. Different other people, when I found out, when I unlocked these things, I wanted to know if there was others that actually had come to that conclusion as well. And absolutely, there is people that came to, in regards of, they put different, but I don't know enough history to know exactly which kind of different, of the other heads. But I know Rome started as a kingdom, and then became something else and so forward. And then of course we have the Caesars, in regards of, I guess, starting with Caesar, and then Augustus, I think it is, takes over from there and still is considered as Caesar, takes on the name or something like that. I think that's, and then it continues, and then so it goes from a republic to whatever. Anyway, so of course that would actually be the, before the Caesars would then be number 5, of course, of the heads. And again, if one looks deeper into history and all that, I'm sure one should be able to gather the puzzle pieces and all that. But I guess it's not that necessary overall, but always information, of course, is always, you never know, and something small might actually be important, who knows. But anyway, we already know who the beast is in our days, and that's the papacy. So he is the Caesar, he is the Pontifex Maximus, he is the Roman emperor, the Roman king, he calls himself, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. He takes all the titles of God upon himself. He thinks, he sets himself above every political authority on this earth and spiritual. Anyway, let's move forward. But anyway, that's the beast. That's the Antichrist of the number 666.
I wonder what the Catholic Church believed and taught.
So
It's unbelievable.
You're not impressed then?
No, I'm not. And I wonder where he's going. I mean, suppose we agree that Jesus was not a Catholic, regardless of his misinformation about the founding of the early Roman Catholic Church. Let's say, yes, we agree that Jesus was not a Catholic. So what? I wonder where he's going with that. I mean, Jesus was a Jew, for goodness sake.
Yeah, it's just it's common among Muslims to point out, well, Muhammad was a Muslim, but Jesus wasn't a Christian, and so we're doing a better, not realizing that Jesus is in a different category in Christianity than Muhammad is in Islam.
Yes, well, and the real question is, did Jesus believe that he was the Jewish Messiah? And I think that there are compelling evidences that he did think of it.
Of course he believed himself to be that he was the Messiah, because he was. But he was, not only the Messiah, he was God in flesh, walking on the earth. People that wants to question things that, that Jesus, the Son of God and all that, and the divine and all that, he's just outrageous. Anyway, that's that's pretty much it, I guess.
Himself that way. And in fact, even a skeptical New Testament critic like Gerald Ludemann has said to me, I don't think you can make sense of the New Testament data unless Jesus of Nazareth believed he was the Messiah. Now, Ludemann doesn't believe it himself, but he certainly thinks Jesus thought that he was the Messiah. So that's the really critical question. Not was Jesus a Protestant or a Catholic, but did he believe that he was the long-awaited Jewish Messiah?
And Islam says yes, but they have no clue what it means.
Fair enough, right.
There's no meaning to it.
Unpack.
Well, if anything, Jesus was a Protestant in regards of protesting against all the man-made laws of the Pharisees and the Jewish leaders. And, as the Protestants also have protested against the Antichrist in regards of all his man-made bullshit. And sadly, we still have a lot of that. We still have a lot of leaven, and we're sadly we are, they're very effective in our days. The Jesuits are very effective of getting us back under the wings of the Antichrist, and people are not interested in truth, and people don't know anything in our days. They're just totally ignorant. They don't want to know. You can talk to people and they just don't want to talk. They don't know, and they don't want to talk about it. I was at a Lutheran gathering at the beach, and I was asking questions to different Lutherans, going around asking some questions in regards of if they knew who the Antichrist was and all that. And there was pretty much not a single one of them that I asked that knew. So there was one older man that, after a little help, began to sing the song in regards of the children's song of Martin Luther from 1542. And he talked about a line that had been censored in regards of the papacy and the Mohammedans. And rightly so, it has been censored from English version, Danish version, German version, and probably others as well. But anyway, most of the people don't want to talk about who the Antichrist is. Even if Martin Luther, which, the Lutherans are called after, was very outspoken, and of course a lot of Protestants was outspoken on this. And yet the Lutherans in our days, those that I talked to, I think it was 2 or 3 churches that was scattered at the beach, So I guess it was last spring, so that they were down there, and I went down there to ask some questions. It's always nice to, and just talk, and but so many didn't want to. They were not interested apparently, and I'm like, this is crazy.
That further as to what that would involve.
So, but here's what I kind of find interesting, right? How long would you last as a Christian apologist if you were saying things like that?
Yeah, about Islam
about something, some other ideology.
300 years before Muhammad, and it was when Alexander went to Rome or something.
Yeah.
You would be humiliated, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and yet it for some reason it just doesn't affect his popularity. He can get up there and say things like this over and over again.
I'm afraid that says something about the ignorance of those who are taken in by him. Mm-hmm. It's very sad, really.
Yeah.
But he, the guy to the right, I can't remember his name. He at least realizes that what the Mohammedan is talking about is not the Roman Catholic Church as it is in our days, or as it became in the 3rd century, but actually before it became baptized in some sense, before it took on sheep clothing and all that, in regards to the mystery religion. Now, in regards of how many years and so forward, I don't know how long back it goes in regards of the beginning of the Roman Empire, in regards to the Roman kingdom first and all that. But if the Pontifex Maximus, which is the high pagan priest, is already around by the second king, that he's giving him rules and so forward, the bridge builder and all that, which is the Pope in our days. He is the Pontifex Maximus, the pontiff, the high pagan priest. Now, Constantine was also Pontifex Maximus. He was the high pagan priest of what? Of Sol Invictus. Now, who is Sol Invictus? That is the sun god, the solar deity. I actually saw something in regards of where someone talked about soldiers, where the soul goes back to. That's an interesting, at least that is an interesting theory, that the first, soul is, of course, in regards of the sun. But I don't know where the word soldier comes from, but it would be interesting to look into. I did have the source someplace. I don't know, did I close it down in regards to the soldier thing? I guess it must be somewhere in regards to my tabs. Oh yeah, here, soldiers. Soldiers, those who die for Sol, the sun, Sol Invictus. Anyway, Sol Invictus in regards of the unconquerable sun god Sol Invictus. Anyway, that would be. Anyway, let's continue.
Yeah, it's a problem. All right, let's check out next clip here.
Okay.
It's on their website. Don't go like this. It's on their website. That's where I took it from. The Catholic Church was really started in Rome by Alexander the Great. Do you know what the word Catholic means? It means universal. It was the
Yep, it means universal. But in regards of that Alexander the Great and all that, I don't. Do we have any historical sources that would say that he went to Rome at any time? He died pretty young, as I understand it. So he has these battles going to the east, and then he dies before he really gets into. So where he, I don't. As far as I know, he never went to Rome. But I'm not in regards of. I'm not even sure if Rome is actually around at that point. Because I have to look into some history in regards to that, because you have the two boys that started where there's this myth and all that, and one slays the other and all that. But I'm not sure how far that goes back compared to the Greek Empire. You have the different beasts, and of course, and you have the third beast, which is in regards to the Grecian beast, which have 4 heads in regards to 4 Grecian kingdoms. And then, of course, Rome comes and takes over. But again, I don't know in regards of if Rome was even around at the time of Alexander. I don't know. Anyway.
universal church for the Roman Empire. If you didn't join it, you could not be a Roman citizen. And it was opposed to the teachings of Judaism and opposed to the teachings of the early Christians for more than 200 and some years. And they were diametrically opposed to each other to the extent that it was the Romans killing the early Christians.
So the Catholic Church was founded 3 centuries before Christ by Alexander the
And now the guy to the right, over here, is getting some more understanding what the Mohammedan actually means in regards to this. So even if that's going to
Great in Rome and became the dominant religion of the Roman Empire, and was called the Catholic Church because it's the universal religion of the Roman Empire.
It was apparently, in his view,
Now think about it. What does, just think about the Romanism. What do you have in regards of Romanism? Roman Universalism. In regards of Catholics, Roman Catholicism. Roman Universalism. The Pope is the Roman King, the Roman Emperor, the Roman Caesar, the high pagan priest, Pontifex Maximus. It's just, the Roman mystery religion just took on new clothing, if you can't destroy them one way, do it in another way,
pagan belief system and institution. I'll tell you honestly, David, what I think this betrays is a very ugly sort of anti-Catholicism. One finds this also among certain Protestant fundamentalists, and I think in this case...
Did we get that? Oh, you find it in certain, fundamentalist Protestant. Well, let's go back in history and read some of the books of Protestants, and you figure out that pretty much every Protestant knew it, because who were they protesting against? Oh yeah, the Antichrist. Oh, who did they think Antichrist was? It's interesting when you listen to some of these learned people and all that. For example, I saw a lecture from Germany, and that was the Bekennenden And the Bekennenden had a problem in regards of this state church that Hitler was fixing. And apparently they got to the conclusion, wait, wasn't the Pope the Antichrist? Now, you have to wonder, why would those Christians, have a problem in regards of the state church of Germany and then link it together in regards of the Antichrist in Rome? Why would they link that together? Why would they, link that if they were going along with the state church of Germany? Why would they think it has anything to do with the Pope in Rome? Well, maybe because all roads lead through Rome. But but anyway, that's some information on that, and they make a document and all that. In English, that would be, in Germany, it's like the Bekennenden, and in English, it is the, what is it called? When you are witnessing to something. Anyway, and they fixed our document and all that. But the guy, this learned guy that I saw in regards of, what was I researching at that point? I think I was researching in regards of the Bekennenden, because I'm always looking for people where they protest against. But anyway, but he was like, oh yeah, but they believe that they had this silly idea that they thought that the Pope was the Antichrist and all that. They remember there wasn't there something in regards to the Pope being the Antichrist and all that, and he just tries to sway it off like it's just some he doesn't believe it himself. That's as far as I could get from him. Still valuable information, because again, why would they believe that joining the state church of Germany would have anything to do with the Pope? That's a very interesting thing, so the things that he might just have, was still pretty valuable. But anyway, let's see what but here we go. Oh, fundamentalist Protestants and all that. Yeah, maybe they're just standing on the Bible, and Protestant history and actually true history in regards of what is going on in the world.
Muslims who have this, it's kind of like anti-Semitism, except it's directed at Catholics. And
No, it's not, it's not the same. You see, what is anti-Catholic is the truth. And the truth stays the truth. And just because someone gets offended and thinks they shouldn't tolerate it, or that they, that's typical for Roman Catholics, we shouldn't tolerate it, they don't like the, free speech and all that in regards of, people speaking the truth again, because it exposes the whole system of Roman Catholicism. But anyway, then they will say, oh, it's anti-Catholic, or it's Catholic bashing and all that. Well, the truth stays the truth. And you quickly find out who is lying immensely to you and trying to deceive you, and that's the Roman Catholics. Now, the Mohammedans are doing the same thing. It's pretty much two sides of the same wicked coin. Now, of course, Rome is the head. But anyway, that's of course the Mohammedans are stinking wolves, so they are pretty easy to figure out. It's harder with the Roman Catholics, because a Roman Catholic can speak like a Christian without you realizing that they're talking about the cookie Jesus. But anyway, they are allowed to worship a cookie. they believe the cookie becomes the real body, soul, sinews, and so forward of Jesus Christ. And 2 seconds. Oh my. So that's pretty much. Yeah. So I just wonder why. I guess they are trying to discount the truth again. Oh, it's anti-Catholic, fundamentalist, the extremist, and all that. Yeah, those upholding the truth still in our days. You can just slander them with a lot of things instead of maybe just standing on the Bible.
Could not be a
And
Roman
history.
citizen.
But anyway.
And it was opposed to the teachings of Judaism and opposed to the teachings of the early Christians for more than 200 and some years. And they were diametrically opposed to each other to the extent that it was the Romans killing the early Christians.
So the Catholic Church was founded 3 centuries before Christ by Alexander the Great in Rome and became the dominant religion of the...
It seems like the guy to the left is, and I can't remember his name, but it seems he's trying to make a spin on this, to maybe defend Roman Catholicism, like in regards of Christ Mass. I don't know, but there's a lot of we know there's a lot of Jesuits out there, and they come in many disguises. So I don't know. Maybe he's just maybe it's just maybe he's just in maybe he's just on the going on in a wrong direction and not I have to be you have to be careful, and of course we can all make mistakes and all that, but it's just interesting how much you saw in regards of Christ Mass, how they defended Christ Mass on so many levels, which is clearly pagan and goes back to again Rome. Christ Mass, where you're seeing in the television in regards to the 25 December, in regard, that's the Pope. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Roman Empire, and was called the Catholic Church because it's the universal religion of the Roman Empire.
It was apparently, in his view, a pagan.
Yeah. So what he fixes together is, the pagan institution just took on cheap clothing. And I believe that myself, as far as I can see from scripture and history and all that, that is what happened. If you can't, the Christians were spreading and spreading. Well, what can you do? Well, infiltrate them. Now I think actually the infiltration already happened in the 1st century, starting with a guy that is actually found in the New Testament, and he was rejected by all Asia, which I think found him out. So they rejected and turned their back on him. And you can read about that in 2 Timothy 1:15. And then you can go to Revelation chapter 2, verse 2. That's a good beginning, I guess. But anyway, leading people into lawlessness. You see, there was 2 gospels going out in the world in the 1st century. That was one, getting people back to the law. And that was the one getting people away from the law. And the question is, what did Jesus do? Did Jesus lead people away from the law, or did he lead people to the law? Did he say, go and sin no more, And what is sin? Sin is transgression of the law and so forth. Anyway, you can see, for example, Marcion's prologues, I think it's called, for the different letters of Paulus. He was a Pauline Christian and all that, and you can see who the enemy is. Because, he sees Paulus as the hero, and then you can see who was the others. And they are seen in a very bad light. And so what was the problem with those? Well, that they were still teaching the scriptures. So both of these gospels going out in the world were, they were both in the name of Jesus Christ. But one was with the law and the other was without the law. One is leading away from the law and the other is leading to the law. And then you have to question, which one do you think is the true one? What did Jesus do? Did again? Did he? Did he? Did he? Yeah. Well, follow Yeshua. That's it. Yeshua or Jesus that we are to follow. Anyway, let's go on.
Belief system and institution. I'll tell you honestly, David, what I think this betrays is a very ugly sort of anti-Catholicism.
Really? Ugly anti-Catholicism. Well, what can you do when the truth is anti-Catholic? So now, of course, I've seen some things from the guy on the right over here where I was absolutely not in agreement with him. But yeah, it's in the end, it's up to God and all, and we have different, what shall we say, different strengths and weaknesses and all that. But we do have to remember that the Jesuits is out there, and Satan has some of the most clever and educated people out there, and they are willing to do everything. Just read the Jesuit oath and see what they are willing to do. And they use all the Christian terms, right? The Christian, terminologies and all that. But when you read it, it's far from Christian, Well, they're using all, names and this and that and all that. They're using this terminology of Christianity, but when you look, it's so demonic, so filthy, so disgusting. But anyway, let's go on.
Finds this also among certain Protestant fundamentalists, and I think in this case, Muslims, who have this. It's kind of like anti-Semitism, except...
Yeah, why would the Protestants ever have anything against the Roman Catholic Church? And, and again, this is a typical way of trying to shut down people, by the way. The Roman Catholics have a lot of ways of shutting people down. They have a lot of, they have a lot of tools at their disposal to try to close you down, in regards to shut your mouth. There's deception, of course. There is trying to get you to question is, something that, trying to make you think that it's not true what you actually... then, of course, there is in regards of the Catholic hate card, right? Anti-Catholic and Catholic bashing and all that, and you're speaking hate speech and all that. And of course, then there's the censor card where you get things censored, and I've had so much censored. But anyway, and deleted and so forward, and they use any means that they can to to hide the truth. So they use a lot of. And telling you, oh, you're not loving, or you're not a Christian, or you're not that. It's you begin to experience how they. And I remember reading Alberto Rivera actually talking, and that when I read it from Alberto Rivera, I didn't have much experience in regards to Roman Catholics at that point. But yeah, a lot of what he said in regards of Alberto Rivera was absolutely true. And a lot of the things that when I read his cartoons and all that, it just went straight over my head nearly. It was like, it was on a deep level of things that I'm like, this is, I have no idea if this is true or not. And then you begin to dig into it and you find one thing after another that is true. And I'm like, and then the Roman Catholics want to tell me that Alberto Rivera was a liar and a deceiver and all of that. And I'm like, how did he know all these things, one of the cartoons, that's number 6, I think it is, in regards to Mary bullshit and all that. And I talked to a Roman Catholic and said, oh, it's just, the cartoon is bullshit and all that. Well, the doctrines that is found in the magazine is absolutely what the Roman Catholics are believing in regards to Mary. So how can you say it's incredible how they can distort things, So, yeah. Because when you then dig into it, it's the truth in regards to what they believe in. But they're hiding it away, They're not standing in the truth in regards to what they actually believe. But anyway, let's go on.
it's directed at Catholics, and I think it's extremely ugly. And
by the way, I think that guy to the left actually censored a lot of my text when I was on his chat. By the way, I think I was 2 times on his chat, and I think a lot of my messages got censored. So anyway, yeah, don't like free speech, I guess. I don't know. I made the video in regards to Christ Mass. I guess I think it went to 10 or 12 hours or something like that. It became pretty long, but I never heard anything from him, and in regards of trying in regards to the chat and all that, So it just seems a little like, are they trying to defend Roman Catholicism here, Is this what is going on here, And of course I could do more research in that, but I have a lot of other things to do, so. But I just, I just fell over this video.
Not to say absurd.
Yeah, I get comments from people all the time who are
each other to the extent that it was the Romans killing the early Christians.
Mm-hmm.
So the Catholic Church was founded.
The thing is, the Roman the Roman, Rome persecuted the Christians, and when Constantine came, apparently there was more persecution, according to some sources I read, in the 4th century than all the other centuries put together. So there was a lot of slaughtering of the Roman Catholic Church, already at that point, And when Roman Catholics, they have a way of rewriting history and slandering things and all that. But, even if they would say, oh, but they were heretics, so it's okay to murder and butcher heretics and burn their documents, and is that the Christian way? They try to, yeah, but they were heretics, they believed in this and that and all that, which, is probably not true in some of the cases, or maybe actually a lot of the cases. For example, the Waldensians and all that. But let's just say that they were telling the truth in regards to the Waldensians, for example, which they're not. But anyway, is that then okay to butcher them, to slaughter them, to burn their libraries and documents and all that? And, is that okay? Is that because the Waldensians just try to get the word of God out to people? You can just see the beginning of the Protestant Reformation, which failed, which became a protest, protesting the Antichrist and Rome. You can just see how the Roman Catholic Church is against the Bible. They don't want the people to have the Bible in their own tongue. Do you think that sounds like a Christian institution? Absolutely not. Any Christian would love other people to read the scriptures. Any Christian would love people. I would love the Mohammedans if they would pick up the Bible and read it, I would love that, because then they could, hopefully, that would be a chance that they might actually see the truth and get out of. But anyway, no Christian institution never, ever would try to, get the word of God away from the people. And even in our days, they're doing it. I spoke to a woman in Israel, in Jerusalem, and also kind of a couple of years ago. But she told me that she was not allowed to read the Bible for herself. She was from Ireland, and I'm like, what? You're not allowed to read the Bible for yourself? I'm like, you have to be kidding me. Is this still going on? Apparently, So any Christian would absolutely, and that's also a thing, Luther had many issues here and there. But one thing that, when Roman Catholic says, oh, he's just a poop for himself, or so-called pope and all that. That's your pope, and that's not. The thing is, the difference is in regards to the Antichrist and Martin Luther was that Martin Luther wanted the people to read the Bible. He wanted them to read the Bible for themselves. Now that's a good, that's a huge difference compared to the Roman emperor, the Roman Antichrist, and all that. So you really have, there's so many slick things, and of course Luther did have his issues, but you also have to be aware when people are attacking Luther, you have to question when they're quoting him, are they quoting something he said earlier or later? Because you have a way of growing in scripture, and you have to be aware that they were now regaining a lot of truth. You don't get truth like from one day to another. It's a growth process. I've been studying for years and years and reading the Bible and all that. You grow and grow and grow. And, so it's a process. So when some, quote Martin Luther and just have the date on it. When did he say this? Because Martin Luther knew himself in his late years that he had a lot of issues in his younger years. And of course, he still had a lot of issues in his older years, But it's just incredible that in 500 years that it's shameful that we haven't taken it further. But it's in Denmark we're still keeping to pagan. Well, I guess most of the Western world is keeping to pagan traditions in regards to Rome, your boat. It's just Sunday bullshit, Easter bullshit, Christmas bullshit, all the rest of the bullshit that is out there, Roman bullshit. Anyway, let's continue.
3 centuries before Christ by Alexander the Great in Rome and became the dominant religion of the Roman Empire, and was called the Catholic Church because it's the universal religion of the Roman Empire.
It was apparently, in his view, a pagan belief system and institution. I'll tell you honestly, David, what I think this betrays is a very ugly sort of anti-Catholicism. One finds this also among certain Protestant fundamentalists, and I think in this case Muslims, who have this, it's kind of like anti-Semitism, except it's directed at Catholics, and I think it's extremely ugly and, not to say absurd.
Yeah,
Do you see what they're doing? Again, it seems like that. It seems like they're defending the Roman Catholic Church again, and of course, these two guys are learned people. They are, as I understand it, they are both doctors or professor or whatever. I'm not entirely sure if that's. I think that guy might be a professor. I'm not entirely sure how they fix all. But anyway, they are learned people. They're educated people. And they're actually just sitting there again defending the Roman Catholic Church. Now he's saying it's absurd. So you're telling me that all the Protestants, speaking about these things, they were just absurdities, It's incredible how many are out there to just, put out propaganda, and discount the truth and lead people astray. And again, the more you research in regards of history and know about real history that has been hidden away from us and read the Bible and study the Bible, the more clear it is who is actually trying to, feed you bullshit. And, so anyway, one of the most wonderful Protestants that I know of is a guy that is called Tom Fresh. And Tom Fresh was a guy, sadly he's not on radio at the moment as far as I know, but he's a radio host, and he was reading one Protestant book after another, one after another, after another, after another. And that's the spirit to go, He was showing that this is not because he has his Protestant opinion. But he's showing by reading one book after another, old Protestant books, one after another, they all believed this. Who the Antichrist was in regards to the whole and so forward and all that. This was something that everybody knew. And yet now they will say, oh, it's absurd, this, it's just, radical Protestants, fundamentalist and whatever, it's slick. It's very slick, but it's deceptive. And if that is what they see, they seem to be doing what they seem to be doing, right? And I'm not, so who knows? Maybe we have some Jesuits. I don't know. It just seems interesting that they would, take it in that direction.
I get comments from people all the time who are now who are persuaded. I think it was from one of those Chick tracks. Remember the
Yes,
Chick
oh,
tracks?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. So let's now attack in regards of Chick. Now, if you actually go to one of his books that's free and available, called Smokescreen, I don't remember hearing anything that I wouldn't agree with in regards of that. There might be one thing or a few things or something, but I can't really remember there was anything that I really... He's just spilling the beans in regards to Smokescreen. Now I have problems in regards of depiction of God and all that, and the promotion of going directly to heaven in regards of Chick publication, and a lot of others out there, actually standing against Rome is also promoting this doctrine of going directly to heaven, which, as far as I know, is not true. This is a doctrine that is not biblical. Both, historical sources, outside the Bible and the Bible itself. I'm not saying we're going directly to heaven when we die or hell. And it's actually a problematic thing in regards to the King James Version, in regards to the word Sheol, which is translated into 3 different English words. It's translated to pit, grave, and hell. Now then you go to the New Testament, and then Gehenna is translated to hell as well. Now Gehenna is something different than Sheol. Gehenna is in regards to the lake of fire, not in regards to Sheol, which is also in Greek, is Hades. So there's a lot of things that is problematic. But yeah. So a lot of these people actually standing against Rome and pushing out a lot of good information is also pushing the doctrine of going directly to heaven. And what does Roman Catholicism believe? Well, in regards of heaven or purgatory, and purgatory is still upward. It's what they call Holy Ghost Hospital and all that, which is utterly nonsense and bullshit. It's not biblical. But of course, it gets a lot of money, It's a good business, But anyway, because you can pay for, so grandma, the mom gets a little less in purgatory. It's a money scheme, a great money scheme, That's. But anyway, as a lot of the other things they have in regards of indulgences. Oh well. Paying for, in even paying for future sins and all that. Anyway, wow. Yeah, so in any case, where did we go to? I think I fell off the horse at the point here. Something in regards of, well, going to heaven. Oh yeah, in regards of going to heaven. So just be aware of that a lot of people actually talking against the Roman Catholic Church are also pushing this doctrine of going directly to heaven, which, as far as I can gather, is just not true. But it's interesting that they would promote this, because it actually just gets you closer to the Roman Catholic Church, because that is what they believe. It's very close to what they believe themselves. and a lot of other people out there, the Mohammedans, if go to heaven if that you had and all that, and 72 virgins or whatever, and there's different people, that believe this heaven doctrine, whatever. But anyway, but as far as I can see from the Bible, it's just not biblical. And historical as well. We're sleeping in, our soul is sleeping in Sheol at that point until the resurrection, in the future resurrection. So anyway, so I do wonder what is going on here, in regards of why are they actually, let's continue and see what they say, because I haven't seen, I haven't, so let's see what they are going to say.
That's what I was thinking of.
I think it was from one of those, or from some sort of pamphlet like that, that the Catholic Church actually started Islam.
Oh
yeah, that's also. Well, actually, if you go into and look at Mohammedanism and Romanism, you can actually find a lot of things that, is the same. Now, they might seem different, but, of course, they're both religions of the devil, but there are things they have in common, and, for example, lying, deception, in regards of marriage doctrines, isn't it interesting that two different religions have the same, pretty much the same false belief in marriage in regards of different. I think that's interesting. Why would that be? Why would they believe the same thing as the Roman Catholics? Oh, maybe that could actually be a pointer that, maybe. Anyway, there's a lot of information that actually points in the direction that Rome might actually have created Mohammedanism. And why would that be? Well, Rome had some trouble in regards of the Eastern Roman Empire, in regards of authority, And of course, all the Christians in that area. You see, half of the Roman Empire, the Mohammedans took over. So, anyway. So, yeah, in regards to, I think it's a pretty, I can't prove it that this is what has, I can't prove that Mohammedanism was created by Rome. At least not on, but you do see the links where it's very curious, and you get the motive, the motive for why they would do it. And of course, they have done it, in regards of communism, Nazism, and other things where they create their own things where it doesn't really look like it's Catholic, but it's actually, all working for the Antichrist. Anyway, let's go on. Persecution and have wars, it's just another form of inquisition, hiding it in regards of war. Anyway, let's go on.
And so,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's going around now too.
Yeah, just crazy.
Yeah, well, I don't think it actually would be that crazy, actually, if you think about that the whore is the mother. So if she's the mother, she has to have some children, right? Anyway, the mother for the abominations, But it's also interesting to see that Rome, the Antichrist, pretty much gets his absolute power. It grows over, and in regards to the 600, you see that it gets to the pretty much a pinnacle of that. But of course, in the future we have the New World Order and all that. So I guess it's still, in some sense, in the growth of the entire world. But anyway, but the Mohammedans are also coming in regards to the 600. And if you remember, in regards to the feet are clay and iron, I do wonder if that could be in regards of these two religions, that really are as iron and clay. They are not really getting what shall we say? Anyway, I might be wrong in regards to that. Just interesting. Whatever the case, you see half of the Roman Empire is Mohammedan. Isn't that interesting? So half of the old Roman Empire became Mohammedan very quickly, and it spread very, very quickly, and the other half was still under the control of the Pope. So, and of course, both religions hate the truth and hate the Christians, so they have something they agree on in regards to that. So, the chop religion and the burn religion, Anyway, both religions of the devil. So that's at least. So I can't really, it's a subject that one could do more studies into. The problem is that Alberto, it's coming from Alberto Rivera. That's one of the sources. There are other sources that also talks about it, and I would love to. Eric Phelps have something from Account or something like that, and I haven't found the information, but I know he has information from Account or something like that where it's also talked about, making a connection. I guess one could just buy his big book and probably find it in his book. But anyway, he has also a lot of sources. But anyway, and he also talks about it and all that. But the thing is, Alberto Rivera knew a huge amount. And if things that you didn't believe, like for example the Vatican in regards of Nazism, I hadn't heard anything about that before. I don't think, many people, when they don't know about it. They have no clue about it. And then it is Alberto Rivera talking about the connections in regards to the Vatican and Nazism. And you're like, it's just going over your head because you have no idea, this sounds outrageous. And then you do some more research and you find out that it's absolutely true. And you're like, if that is true, well, if he told the truth on that, well, then what about Mohammedanism? Did he tell the truth about that as well? And again, when you take his, when you see all the things that points to actually it being true, I think you have to be, and you see some of the, you have quotes from some of the Satanists in regards of, I think it's from 33rd Degree Freemason or something like that, that says that, we control Islam and we will use it to destroy the West and all that, quotes like that, So, again, they, and of course the Jesuit general, that is where he talks about, I control the whole world, from this place to that place without anyone knowing how I do it. So if he already controlled the world at that point, going far back in his, going a pretty good back, I can't remember when the quote was from, but it's a pretty, it's a pretty going back in history. So if he already had power, control of a huge amount, what about in our days then? Because in our days, it has not gone backward for these people, it has only gone forward. So it seems like we don't know any, they have hidden history from us. Apparently I've heard something in regards to the school system in Denmark, that we pretty much have nothing of the Bible in our days. I heard from that was a private teacher, and I think it was a woman, and she said she was a private teacher, and there was nothing in regards to the Bible anymore in regards of teaching, but there was a lot in regards to the climate thing. Now, where would this climate thing go? Well, that goes to Rome again. All roads leads to Rome. Remember in regards to the European Parliament thing, where they showing some. Oh, we have a bird. Anyway, showing from the European Union, and what did they give? They got documents from, Rome, in regards of, climate bullshit. So you just need to follow things, and you see everything leads back to Rome. And it doesn't need to look like Catholic to be Catholic. They are rounding all the world around the Antichrist. Everybody, and they hate Christians, and they don't care in regards of killing people. The means justify the end. They don't care, They will be whatever they want to be. They infiltrate everything, take things over from the inside, and then, leads the people to Rome. Right, anyway, let's go on.
All right, let's see what he has to finish up with here.
By the way, I think this ought to be a good incentive.
I just think, I ended up throwing out my cartoons from Jack's Chick, and I bought all of them, and all the small things I just, because I wanted to find something I could give out. But I was not, first and foremost, I was attacked. I was demonically attacked when I had these magazines, and I was afraid that I was maybe cursing myself. That's two options. Either the demons don't want that information to be known, or I was cursing myself because these magazines have depiction of God. Or whatever, whatever you want. But, the depiction of someday, where it's to be represented as God. And I was thinking maybe I'm cursing myself or opening myself up to these demonic attacks, because I was really, really heavily attacked at that point. I had some from Jack Chick, and I also had from another ministry, which also actually had a lot of truth. But they were also having some issues in regards of the, the babbling tongue doctrine and all that, and that's absolutely no go for me. That's as far as I can see, that's a pagan occult practice, babbling, and so much of paganism has infiltrated Christianity nowadays. It's like people are like, oh, if it's spiritual, it must be from God. Ha ha. No. Satan is out there as well. And a lot of people going into the occult and, New Age, whatever, and doing these practices and all that, experience spiritual things. I was one of them. I was one of them, and I know it was not from God, because I was opening myself up to demons. Of course, they made themselves, I guess, at least one of them in regards of... Anyway, that's another story. To be God and all that, right? That was Satan, Satan, representing in regards to the triangle and the Eye of Ra and whatever, this... that was one of the, one of the spirits that I had contact with. Anyway, being led into, I was shown reincarnation by this entity. They're very clever, very deceptive, these demons. Of course, I didn't know they were demons at that point, because they, they can come as beautiful beings in some sense. They don't, necessarily come as, demons, But anyway, so what was it? We were going a little off trail. Oh yeah, in regards of Jack, but Jack's Chick, I ended up throwing the magazines out. I read them all. Also the small pamphlets, I read them all, and there was some of them that was pretty good that I actually kept. Well, not kept for a longer period of time. I ended up throwing them out. I was just not confident that I wanted to give out this to people, because I was afraid of actually, the doctrine of going directly to heaven and depicting of God. I was not I wish they would make a cartoon that I would be, where they didn't have this doctrine of going to heaven, and where they, but I've tried to talk to the guy in regards to Jack Chick, and it doesn't really. Maybe I can try again and hear if he could, if they maybe could look into a tract which doesn't have, you know, but there's multiple ministries that points to Rome having problems that is promoting the doctrine of heaven. I don't know actually if Alberto Rivera actually promoted that. I'm not sure he actually did. I can't remember if there's anything in his cartoons in regards of any doctrine of going to heaven. But anyway, but it absolutely is there, and I saw how they were pushing for it. But anyway. But great information from Alberto Rivera. If anything, if I would get anything from Jack Chick in regards of, the Alberto Rivera's cartoons gave a huge amount of information, and of course books from Jack Chick as well and all that. So again, just be aware that in regards to the attacks that I got, but again, then I have to see it from another angle, because again, if you take a cursed item into your household, you might actually be opening yourself up to demons. And how do you get a cursed item? How do you get a Christian to get a cursed item into his home? Oh, well, a lot of the magazines had a lot of occult images and all that I wouldn't even have when I was in the occult, pretty much. So, and they are in these magazines. They're talking about witchcraft as well and all that. And you have the symbols in the magazines. And I wouldn't, it just seemed wrong. But there was absolutely a lot of truth in those cartoons. So I'm still uncertain in regards of, yeah, but there's absolutely some good information in regards of in regards to the Roman Catholic Church. Just be aware that a lot of the people out there are also pushing for the doctrine of going directly to heaven, which, as far as I can see, is not biblical. The SDA and the Jehovah's Witnesses are actually, and others are actually pretty spot on, as far as I know, on those things. Now they have a lot of other issues, but on those things in regards to sleeping and all that, I think they pretty much got that correct. As far as I know, now of course again they have other doctrines that are problematic, but yeah. Anyway, let's go on. I would actually at some point like to reread Alberto Rivera's cartoons, and again, I don't know what was going on when I was attacked. Again, there was a lot of truth in those informations that I had in regards to the cartoons. In regards of, I had some other documents from another ministry, which had a lot in regards of Freemasonry and whatever, a lot of things that absolutely, gambling and in regards of demons and so forward. There absolutely was a lot of truth in them. So there's only two options. Either I was attacked because the demons didn't want me to have the information. But then again, why would the demons begin to, it seems more like I was opening myself up to these demonic attacks. And again, if you want to have a cursed item how would you do that as a Satanist? Of course, you would need to maybe make something that looks Christian and have a lot of truth in it. And then, like, what do you call it? Like where they make this horse thing, a Trojan horse, at least I was afraid that I might have fixed a Trojan horse. And in regards to depicting God, of course we have Jesus on movies and all that. Well, it's not, of course, Jesus is an actor and all that. So is there any big difference of making a picture of? I didn't like it anyway, and also a depiction in regards of the Great White Throne and all that. I really, again, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe someone knows anything in regards to that, why the demons would attack me if I had opened myself up in regards of a cursed item, or if it was because the demons, don't want you to have a lot of that information in regards of what is really going on. Again, that's the only two choices that I can see. There's only two choices, and the thing is, I have no idea which one was true. So I ended up throwing the magazines out, destroying them and throwing them out, all of them, and the attacks stopped. Now, yeah, so I was pretty. I really don't know why something was absolutely going on. And also in regards, I talked to, and I felt so unclean after talking to that guy. So I really don't. I really don't know. Sometimes you can just feel the spiritual thing going on. I called the Freemasons in Denmark. I could just feel like there was, and I think he felt it as well, because he, on the other end, didn't, sounded like he was affected as I was. I just felt like what do you call it? That was a barrier. It's just incredible. And he just wanted me off the phone, I think, I think he could feel something was going on as I could. And of course, Freemasonry is Satanism. So I don't know if it's the demonic powers that then tries to stop you or something. I'm not sure. Or if there's, anyway, if that is the thing that makes it in that sense. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, let's go on and see what. There's a lot of things that I don't know. There's a huge amount of things that I still don't know. It's in regards of we have lost so much information, and yeah. But anyway, let's continue.
For those of us who are Christians, to study some church history. So many of us think that Christianity began with Billy Graham in the 20th century. And we need to read some books on church history and the history of doctrine. It's very...
May I suggest that you read some Protestant history? Because what he's actually seemingly doing, which I've seen again and again as well, is that he's turning in regards to church history. And what is he talking about? Well, he's probably talking about the church fathers, the documents that have survived, that hasn't been erased from history, that hasn't been deleted by Satan. And, so supporting in regards to the Roman Catholic Church. Oh, look, see the church fathers, this and that and all that. Well, there was already corruption in the, in regards to the first century. So, as our master told us, the first the good eatable wheat was to be sown, and then afterwards the poisonous darnel. One guy I would really have loved to read his books was Melito, and there's three sources that I know that I would have loved to read. Do we have them today? Nope. And Melito, for example, was hated by the Romanizers, as far as I can gather. So, when you have control of things and all that, what do you do in regards of his documents, Oh, well, I think we can thank Rome for not having his books today. But who knows, maybe they have them in the basement still, hidden away, But actually, Melito wrote a book on, on the book of Revelation. In the 2nd century. That would have been an interesting, very interesting, book to read. To see how he would have, what he would have looked at it from a 2nd century perspective. We don't have that, and we don't have much from him. We do have some. Two of the quotations from him is just wonderful, wonderful. that guy knew a lot of things. Anyway, let's continue.
Illuminating and edifying to realize that we stand at the tail end of the most massive movement in the history of mankind, which is the Christian church.
So, what Christian church are we talking about? Again, it seems very slick, subtle, and all that, but it seems like they're pushing that they're actually defending Roman Catholicism. I don't know. I just, it seems like that's where they're taking this, on a subtle level.
Now, if you understand that, and you go to their website and read, they didn't even take over Christianity until the year 325 AD. And when they did, they changed it.
Now, in regards to 325, that's Constantine. Who was Constantine? Well, he was the high pagan priest of sun worship. He continued to be the solar deity high priestess and continued to do his thing, and as far as I know, in regards of this, so it's just this, so he was the head, pretty much, right, of this, as long as you went along with everything was good, right, pretty much, yeah. It's just who as a Christian would have a pagan title as Pontifex Maximus upon himself. Now, of course, going back to sun worship, we see the Roman Catholic Church with the cookie Jesus. What does that look like? Does that look like a sun disk? Oh yeah, it does. Okay, so what do they put the sun disk in? Oh, a monstrance. Now, what does the monstrance look like? Oh, sun rays. Oh, I just guess it's just coincidence, right? So when the mass, was the mass used to be done? Well, as I understand it, they have actually opened up for this more in regards of. But anyway, so when was the mass to be done, as far as I understand it? On Sunday. Now, what is Sunday? Oh, the venerated day of the sun god, Sol Invictus. Also goes back to in regards of Constantine, making laws and all that. In regards of against the Judaizers and all that. Again, that's different. Anyway. Okay, so we have in regards to Sunday, in regards to the venerated day of the sun god, and there you do the mass, which look like a sun, and you put it in a monstrance that looks like sun rays. Okay, so what happens on Christmas? Oh, Christmas, that's the Antichrist being seen in the television and all that. What happened at the 24th December, or actually at the winter solstice? Oh, yeah, that's where the pagans celebrated what? Oh, the solar deity, the sun god. Oh, okay. So, could it have anything to do with sun worship? Oh, and we can continue in regards of Easter, right? Easter. Oh, Easter. What has Easter to do with anything in regards to biblical thing? Nothing. You see, the Passover that we're keeping is in regards to the Passover of Rome, which is not the Passover. It's Easter. Easter, going back to the pagan goddess, the Queen of Heaven, also known as Inanna in regards to Sumer and Venus. Anyway, it's just all pagan bullshit, It's everywhere in the Roman Catholic bullshit institution. Anyway, let's go on.
A lot of things, again, referring to their own website. But if you want to check it in Britannica or Americana or grow your encyclopedias, go ahead and read about the Catholic Church. When in August...
Actually, that was actually a pretty good idea, actually a good search word to actually search out the Roman Catholic Church in these different lexicons and actually see what the lexicons are saying. In regards, I don't think I've ever actually looked Roman Catholicism up in a lexicon. I've looked up a lot of other things. But of course, people will just say that that's, not true and all that. It's like, you can just open a lexicon and look things over. But apparently people are too, they rather want to go with a lie than just open a lexicon. By the way, in regards to the 25th December being the winter solstice being the pagan festival of the year. You know, the high point, the most popular pagan tradition of the Roman, well, I guess it's also for Roman Catholics and a lot of the world nowadays. But anyway, it was the pinnacle of festivals of the year. That was the winter solstice. And from their own Roman Catholic sources, they say, yes, you know, Christ Mass replaced, you know, Sol Invictus and Mithra, you know, the winter solstice and all that. And this happened in the 4th century, and you can see how it begins to be promoted. We have John Chrysostom promoting it in the late 4th century and having problems, you know, convincing people because, you know, people discussing this because this is something new. Now, while he's attacking those festivals found in the Bible, attacking the Judaizers, whatever, The Romanizers has always been after the Judaizers, Anyway, let's go on.
August of 325 AD, at the Nicaea Council, they took over.
By the way, you see these guys taking notes? They're taking notes on all of this.
That's shocking, and I'll bet none of them will ever consult the sources that he said they should look up.
First thing they said was, let's change the date of the birth of Jesus to be the same date as that of Mithras, which was...
That's true. Actually, Sol Invictus is, as I understand, an ecumenical word for example, Mithra and a huge amount of other gods. So you see the Roman Empire, so you could celebrate, so everybody could celebrate the sun god, even with different names under one single name in regards of Sol Invictus. Now there's, probably different variations in regards of, that usually is in regards of pagan bullshit and all that, taking different forms, a little here and a little there, a little change here and there and whatever. But overall, it's, so yeah. But I guess they might try to deny that as well, I guess. If they're going to try to deny that as well, it smells like a wolf, Maybe two, actually.
The god, one of the gods worshipped there, and also the sun god's birthday was the same day, December the 25th, believing it to be the shortest day of the year. And Constantine was a sun worshiper of Sol Invictus. Go to the website.
Yep, he was, and he continued to be the... and continue to do his practice as far as I know from what I've, researched and gathered of information and all that. But anyway.
Read it for yourself.
So it's all supposedly there on the Catholic Church's website.
Yeah, I wonder what that website is.
You said it's the Catholic Church's...
Well, actually, in regards of Christ Mass, I actually put some sources out there because, this guy over here made a program with this philosophy guy, whatever. And he said that, Christ Mass has nothing to do with paganism and all that. And so I've been researching this, years ago. You tend to get into this thing again and again and again. So I found some new sources, that I hadn't seen, So I collected some new sources and all that and put them on the video as well and all that. And I think 2 of them are from Roman Catholics and so forward. But anyway, I put it out there, So, but I never really got a response for that as far as I know. So, guess no one was interested in that. I'm just tired of the bullshit and the nonsense, But anyway, let's see if what they're going to say, that would be interesting, It seems like they're trying to discount the things and all that.
His website.
Yeah. Oh. Yes, this is the kind of stuff, again, that you mentioned before, where the Council of Nicaea is blamed for inventing and doing all sorts of things. It just betrays a dreadful ignorance of...
let's see, Easter. So let's see, go to the document of Nicaea and read the last part of the document. And that should have the thing. I actually think I have it on my mobile someplace. And that should have the thing in regards, we're now all in agreement to do, in regards of Roman traditions, in regards of the so-called Passover. Now, of course, not everybody was on that, line of, but this has been a struggle between Rome and particularly Asia Minor, had a battle in regards of going on, in regards of Asia Minor keeping to the Bible and God's word, and Rome twisting and distorting and thinking to change times and laws. But in 325, they're like, oh, they're happy, happy, happy. Now we are all in error. And now they don't say that. But, we're now all in agreement to keep it according to Roman tradition. Really? Are you really? Oh, well, that's not exactly true, because we know there were still people around, because John Chrysostom, for example, was speaking against Judaizers that was keeping to festivals. And that's late 4th century. So we know that, but of course people were persecuted, so, anyway, let's see.
Church history. I mean, we have the writings of these so-called ante-Nicene church.
Are we now going back to church fathers and all that? Of course, in regards to the ante-Nicene, we do have a lot of documents. You just have to be aware that you have to discern what is going on, because as Yeshua said, the good eatable wheat would be sown first, and then the poisonous darnel, and they grow up together, and they grow up until the harvest. The harvest is yet future. So you really have to discern what is going on, because there's two gospels going out in the world in the name of Jesus Christ. And one leads to the law and one leads away from the law. Now, of course, there's a lot of other versions out there, coming up and all that, but, two that are, seemingly very, very close and yet are very, very far apart from each other. And, anyway, let's continue. And again, a lot of things have been censored, so you have to do... you have to put the pieces together that is out there. You have to see what is out there and use, documents, for example, like John Chrysostom, which was a Romanist, and, and he was really fierce against the Judaizers and all that. So he would be one of them that would have been really, really angry at me, for example, and would have been one of those that spoke against me and whatever, but anyway. But you can still learn a lot from his writing, what he's saying in regards of his, going haywire and all that. So, but anyway, you have to discern, and then, a lot of things has been, censored. I can just see how much of my things are getting censored in my days, and this is something that is, that is happening in our days, and as far as I can see, happened in the past as well, and it's not a big surprise. Again, I have the experience of seeing it happening here in our days, so and looking at how many documents that we don't have in our days. Now we still have a huge amount from the Nicene period and all that, but you still have to be discerning, have some discerning, because if you end up reading the so-called church fathers and then you become a Roman Catholic because you read those, that is not the way to go. You have to be aware that there are two groups, and already in the beginning there's already corruption. Anyway.
Fathers that we can read and understand the debates over the Trinity and the deity of Christ and how they...
Yeah, in regards of the deity of Christ and the Trinity and all that, absolutely, there's so much information in regards of that from outside the Bible, and of course there is information inside the Bible about it. And when people are saying that, Jesus is not God Almighty Jehovah and all that, just going directly against the Bible. And, how people will really, there's so many people out there that will deny the divinity of Jesus Christ and attack him. And so, by the way, it's the Trinity with a twist. And I'm thinking of, I'm still going on in regards to my webpage. I've just moved my WordPress page from the original site with the real name and all that to an .domain or whatever, and that seemed to work. And then I'm moving the pieces that I need to collect together over on that side. So I have 5 pieces that I need to put together into one side. So that's something I need to work on in regards of the music player, the video player, the sticky thing in regards to the menu that can go off the screen and on, still, being mobile friendly and all that. And then in regards of the script, where I can actually get HTML files from, that makes it possible for a HTML file to get another HTML file, so you can divide the things up in more files, which might be a pretty good thing. In regards of that was a reason why that was a good idea, but oh yeah, that's in regards to the menu. That was right, because when you have a menu, and if you have multiple pages on every single link and all that from the menu and all that, you would need to every single time make update areas. It's just. But if you just can take the menu in one HTML file and then link on every single page to that file, then I can just update the file and then it will update all the pages. That's pretty clever. So that's the way I was thinking. That might be a pretty good idea. I'm not entirely sure if I can get any smart things in it in regards of showing where you are when you have pushed something. If I do it like that, but at least it will be a lot easier to change the menu without needing to change like 10 or 20 pages. It depends, the more pages you have, the more problems you would get, the more pages you would need to fix, that's kind of tedious. So that would be 5 things that I have to unite into one single page, so I can have a main page with all the things, and see if I can do it in, set it good up so it's not a mess. The first page was pretty messy, so I'll see if I can, get it working in regards of not being so messy. But it is moving forward. It's looking nice. But anyway, when I have the website up, I was thinking of doing a subject in regards of the Trinity with a twist, because for example, the false witnesses in regards to the Jehovah's Witnesses, I had one that I talked to, and she said, in 20 years, I've heard this, that, it's just a mystery and all that. So she was running around 20 years and trying to make people doubt in regards of the Trinity. And apparently people told her, after probably a long talk or dialogue, and, that it's just a mystery and all that. And then she would apparently become angry, why did you try to, if it's just a mystery, if you can't get it from the Bible and all that. And of course, I'm not like that. So, of course, I told her, where to look and so forward. But apparently a lot of people have issues in regards of how to explain it, I guess. So I was thinking of just, making a page on that as well. Then people can, go look at it and, fix it all together. That would be one thing I think would be a, the thing is, when people are saying, oh, I can't understand it, and just, that's the wrong attitude to go into it, You have to go into the attitude that, God is able to show me in regards to these things. God will help me, lead me into truth, If I already give up at the very instant, that I was like, oh, I can't understand. That's just not the attitude to go into it. Go into the attitude that, we have the Spirit of truth helping us in leading us, So, should be possible. And that's the right attitude to go into it. Anyway, but we have a huge amount of sources outside, in regards of before the Nicene Council, in regards, so a huge amount, and of course the Bible as well. So, So when people are saying that Jesus is not the Son of God or God Almighty, or to be kidding me, if you want the teaching in regards to where Jesus or our Master really speaking deeply on it, you can go to John 14, 15, 16, 17. And there in these chapters, if my memory serves me right, from John 14 to John 17, if you read those chapters, you will he explains it. That's the concentrated way he explains. The Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, the children of God, if I remember correctly, is also so everything is explained there. That we will come to you. We will come to you. Well, how are we coming to you? The Father and the Son. Well, by the Holy Spirit. And where are we now, the children of God that has been reborn, having passed from death to life? Well, we are in the Son, and the Son is in the Father, so we are in them, and they are in us by the Holy Spirit. And again, I'm a little reluctant to say the next part, but I think it might actually lead to the thing that we are one in some sense, because we are in Christ, right? So if the children of God is in Christ, and Christ is in the Father, and the Father and the Son is in us by the Holy Spirit, have we now become one? Echad, Anyway, and of course, Yeshua talking about the scriptures saying that whose the word came to was called gods, right? So why would they be called gods? Those that the word came to, the word of God, I think, something like that. Anyway, maybe because we are now reborn and we have passed from death to life, and thereby we are now, what? The children of Jehovah. Yep, so we are the children of Jehovah. So it's not really, it's just, I think God has pretty much, shown us on so many levels, if we actually study His Word, that we can get a lot of understanding on many things, on many levels, and we see them working together from the very beginning of Scripture. Now, because of mistranslations and all that, we tend to not see the things that is actually going on. But anyway, that's it's a little sad, and again, it would be nice if I could maybe start translating the Bible, but I really need some more skills for it, I think. But and it's a huge thing to. But I really would like to just try out and start it out and see how it goes, and get it with the words that I think is more, that goes closest to the, no copyright and all that, because copyright is, as I understand it, they have to translate it differently to get copyright. There's some rules in regards of being able to get copyright on something. But anyway, let's go on. Let's get back to it.
He struggled to enunciate the doctrine of the Trinity, and then the codification of the canon that occurred. This is just terrible ignorance that is pulling the wool.
Well, I don't think the Mohammedan actually said, much against the Trinity or in regards of the canon. He doesn't really seem to talk about that, at least not those 3 clips. So I'm not sure what that has to do with. But anyway, let's go on.
All over the eyes of these gullible people.
Yeah, and I agree with you that it's sad, just because. There have to be plenty of Muslims who do know that's completely false. Like the crowd doesn't seem to get it, but there have to be educated Muslims who know that he's
What is it that is completely false? Because there seems to be a lot of truth in what he was saying as well. So, it's having these two guys that are well educated, and I don't know if this guy to the right is now holding back in regards of that guy over there, because in regards of Mithra, in regards of the sun god and all that, well, it's just do some research,
spouting complete nonsense, and yet they just don't.
No. What is complete nonsense? Now, in regards of the guy, in regards of the Greek guy, was Alexander going to Rome? No idea. That might be totally, bullshit. But there's also some truth in what he is actually saying. You see, you cannot just discount things that is just. There might be, things that are not totally in the, totally correct and all that, but still, I think we have to be honest about things. And this seemed more like a defense of Roman Catholicism again.
Call him out in the way you would be called out if you were spouting that kind of nonsense.
So, what about people like Shabir Ali? Doesn't he call out any of these people?
I'm not aware of.
Again, what is it you? I think it's a very, very, very bad example. What is it? It seems more like a defense of Roman Catholicism. So you're telling me that that Roman Catholicism has nothing to do with pagan solar worship? Is that what you're saying? Should we continue on that subject or what? Should we find the sources and all that? I'm just so, I don't know. Last time in regards to the Christmas bullshit, which we call Yule in Denmark, and Yule goes back to, Jolner. Jolner goes back to Odin. Oh yeah, that's one of those pagan gods again. You have to be kidding me. How obvious does it have to be that it's pagan? No, it's not pagan. It's like close. How blind do you need? It is like a willingness to be blind or something like that. This is this, and then you're trying to discount everything that you just, you have to be kidding me. If you're going to reject that Christmas is pagan, you have to be, that's just totally dishonesty. We can take it one direction or the other direction, or probably more directions in regards of pagan bullshit, And the arguments that are coming to seems to be trying to defend Roman Catholicism. You have to be kidding me. Not the Bible, but Roman Catholicism.
Yeah.
There being any significant challenge to him from.
So you're telling me that this guy over to the right, being a great learned man, have no idea in regards to Roman Catholicism and sun worship, and in regards of Mithra, in regards to Sol Invictus and all that. Are you telling me that this guy over here is just, he's just silent about it, just and just accepting that this is just, accepting that this guy says it's, just haywire, it's just nonsense and all that this Mohammedan and all that are saying. Just, seems to be becoming more. There's more truth that seems to actually come out from that Mohammedan in these three clips than these two guys. I'm sad to say, and the Christians should have the spirit of truth, and yet they are sitting there and just it's just nonsense and blah blah. It's just okay. In regards to the Alexander thing, that might be total nonsense and all that, but the rest, there's absolutely some truth in the rest. In regards of. It's outrageous. I just don't know what to say. It's just, I don't know what to. It's just incredible. Yes, this world is so sick. I'm just so sick and tired of people not standing for the truth. Oh well, let's continue and see what is.
Muslim apologists or Muslim scholars. So sad situation. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining me, and for everyone watching. We're.
I still feel like this guy is holding back something that he knows. It seems like it to be an agenda in regards of this video. That's to be kidding me. Just go to a lexicon. look things up. How hard can it be to do some research? The information is out there. Actually, there's a huge amount. When you first begin to dig into it, there's just one thing after another, after another, after another. Huge topic, I might be a little, at the moment, like, what should I start out with? But when you begin, it's just one thing after another, and then you have 100 tabs open or 200 tabs open, in the browser. And usually 100 tabs, not 200, but, they tend to grow pretty quickly. You open more and more and more, and you research here and look and there and so forward, and, or look in books or whatever, it tends to grow. That's the problem, these tabs tends to grow always in my browsers, it's incredible. And my computer, is very old and it's become slow and all that. I really should get a new computer. But anyway, let's go on.
Massive series on the resurrection, which will be out just before Easter.
Did you hear what he said? Easter. What does Easter have to do with the Bible? Oh yeah, but besides the mistranslation in the King James Version once, but that's a mistranslation. It's in the time of the 7 days of unleavened bread, if I remember correctly. So it's even anyway. It's just give me. Some will say, oh, but it was Easter. Give me. I'm so tired. I'm tired of lies. Okay, I'm just tired of the lies. I think this was a very bad video. Of these three people, the Mohammedan had the most truth, of these three people. I am sad to say, of these three people, the Mohammedan actually, in regards of what he said in those three clips, had the most truth. Even if he made an biggie, and might have some, that it might not be totally in the right sense of, but in regards of years and all that. But of these three guys, the Mohammedan, the pagan Mohammedan, actually has most truth, in regards to sun worship, in regards to Mithra. Mithra is a very popular religion. And of course, the Roman Catholic wanted the people into the church, right? So what do? Well, you create Christ Mass, it makes it easier for the Mithraists to, come in so they can continue to celebrate on the, on the high festivals of the pagans. And if they don't want to come into the Roman Mother Church, what do? Well, you persecute them and slay them like you do with the Christians. Oh. So, I'll give it to the Mohammedan at this point in regards to this time. These two other guys are, I think, failed miserably, or utterly. They failed utterly in regards to this video. This video was a disgrace, I think. This was, if you're going to stand on truth and all that, this was a disgrace. This was more looking like an attack on the truth and protecting of Roman Catholicism. I do wonder what these two guys are. But as I understand it, this guy says he's not a Roman Catholic. I think I saw a video where he said he couldn't be a Roman Catholic. But yet he goes on in regards of, fundamentals, Protestants and all of that. And this guy over here just, he goes haywire. I don't know. I really don't know what to say. I think, are he going to continue to defend Roman Catholicism? Is this the way that it thinks is going? And again, just because someone says that he's not a Roman Catholic or not part of the Roman Catholic system and all that, we have to be aware there's a lot of Jesuits out there. And Jesuits infiltrate and hide in many disguises. They are wolves in sheep clothing. That was what Yeshua was warning us about. Be aware of wolves in sheep clothing that could, if possible, deceive the elect. Okay? Maybe he gave us all these warnings because that was pretty important, Anyway, like a Mohammedan like this guy, it's easy, it's easy peasy to reject him as a false prophet or a false, why? Well, because Mohammedans reject that God has a son. If you ask a Mohammedan, does God has a son? Now they're not always honest, so maybe you need to ask more people. But I've tried at least twice where they try to lie about it. Probably more, but I can remember twice on the top of my head. And the last time was in the sauna last week, I think actually. But he actually ended up, saying, yeah, we don't believe that God has a son. After, but he tried if he could slip that around on me, and of course he couldn't. Well, not of course, because you never know. There's a lot of things that I don't know. So, but he tried. It's as far as I could see, it seemed like he tried to slip that. He tried to say, no, we also believe that Jesus is the Son of God and all that, which might again, it's the same with Roman Catholics. They are allowed to lie to defend their religion and all that. So that is a practice that they apparently use, both Roman Catholics and the Mohammedans. So you really have to be on your toes in regards of. But he ended up accepting that. Yeah, we don't believe that. It's interesting because he had just said, had really been what do you call it? Stood his ground in the beginning in regards of it, and I think he understood that I knew a little about the thing. So anyway, or maybe it's the demons that are, that have a sway on these people, that make them do what they do. Oh, by the way, the real Jesus is actually pretty good. He's a Lutheran, so to just be. But anyway, this is a pretty good one. I do have it on my video player. So I just, I know there's the ecumenical movement, the diabolical satanic ecumenical movement is really really pushing forward, and that was one of the reasons why, for example, that was also a motive to kill Keith Green, because Keith Green made something called the Catholic Chronicles. And interesting enough, the Catholic Chronicles was stopped after his death. So, I don't know. I can't remember. I don't know when it was stopped, but one of the Roman Catholics that wanted to buy more of them, and remember reading the response that he got and all that, and that seemed very, very, very fishy. So now, of course, they are on the internet, so you can get them. But he was not allowed to make any copy. He was told he was not allowed to make any copies, and they were not selling them anymore, and this and that. And he's like, that's really fishy, because Keith Green would not have, that's very, very fishy, very, very fishy. But of course, you can get them on, and of course, Keith Green. He would have wanted everybody to read them. He wouldn't have, and he wouldn't have had this thing that, oh, you're not allowed to, take a copy of it and all that. Give me a break, But anyway, that was a motive to kill him off, because he created these. He was a pretty popular guy. He was a singer who found Christ, and he was also in the occult before that. So. I read some of his books, and his background seems, I can relate to his background in regards of some other things, for sure. Looking for truth and then being led into Satan's candy shop and then coming out of it. But he was really zealous for Jesus, and he wrote some music as well, and he wrote these, they had this magazine, and then he found out in regards to the Roman Catholic Church. And he wrote these for the Catholic Chronicles. So that was absolutely a motive to kill him off, because the ecumenical movement are trying to get us back under the wings of the Antichrist. So anyway, so I don't know if he was murdered or not, but there's a source that said that was a woman that goes, that leads it back to CIA. Now, of course, CIA is like just Catholics in action, All roads leads back to Rome, But anyway, so I would think that would be a pretty good chance that it could actually be true because, he was a Christian, he stood for the truth, and he damaged the Catholic Church, and thereby they need to take him out. Again, he was pretty popular, his music and so forward. Now, apparently, some say that he was killed because of his music. Now, I don't think that would be the motive. Would be in regards to the Roman Catholic Chronicles, or the Catholic Chronicles. That would be the motive. The music, could, it's some pretty good songs that he have. It's sad that we lost him so early on. Yeah. But you also see the ecumenical movement, in regards of, being used in regards of you have the pornographic and you have the abortion subject and all that, where you see how the Roman Catholics are mixing with the others out there, and we are dragged little by little by little, and actually it has a little has become a huge amount that we don't even know who the Antichrist is anymore, and thereby the making deals with the Roman Catholic Church and leading the world back under the Roman Emperor. And I think this video that these guys made was a disgrace. Absolutely disgrace. As a Christian, we should stand on truth, and I don't think they gave. I think this guy over here seemed like he maybe knew something that he could have spoken up about, but didn't say. I think it seems like he held back. But then again, he was attacking in regards of the fundamentalist Protestant, right? In regards of being anti-Catholic. Well, the thing is, anti-Catholic is the truth. The truth is anti-Catholic. What are you going to do with it, The truth stays the truth. And if the truth is anti-Catholic, well, let it be anti-Catholic, Don't give me all that nonsense and bullshit and all that. Oh, anti-Catholic, and you're a Catholic basher or Catholic hater or hate speaker and all that. The truth stays the truth. It's nothing to do with. It's like the same thing with the Jews when you say, well, that the Jew, that the ancestors killed Yeshua, or that the Jews killed Yeshua. If you use like, hate speech, but didn't getting tired of the hate card. Hate speech. That's the same thing with the feminists, right? But anyway, they use all these tricks to get you to shut up, So, anyway, I don't think the feminist on that forum responded to me. So, hopefully she will turn around, and hopefully she got something to think about, Yeah. I'm not going to step down just because they use, tricks and this and that and all that. So I guess that's all. I just saw that little video there, and I found it interesting when they began to talk about fundamentalist Protestants. So why is it that it's so? Why is it it's so? Because it's popular to attack. Protestants, radical, fundamentalist, extremist Protestants and all that. They're just nutcases and all that, Why is it so popular to attack those and discredit them, but, speak good about Rome and, keep silent about, the truth? And, why is it so, why is, it's just, So you really have to be careful in regards of, where you're being led to. Are you being led to the Antichrist, or are you being led to Jesus Christ, And the people telling you the truth might not sound like the sweetest out there. They might be pretty square, sticky in some sense, because, but if they're telling you the truth, that's the loving thing to do, instead of telling you sweet lies, sweet lies. Ask yourself, do you want the truth, or do you want sweet lies? Do you want the hard truth, or do you want to have, slick lies? Well, I would like to have the truth and not these. Anyway, so I'm having the video in regards of soldiers, those who dies for soul. That would actually be interesting. I wonder if the word might actually come from Rome in regards of, that would be a research. I don't know if there's anything in this, but it is interesting, I think, in regards of, I never thought about that, soldiers. We call it in Danish soldat. So that we also have, we know soul is in regards of, like, for example, in Danish, we actually call it soul. That's the word for son, the S-U-N. In Danish, we have two different words, so it's easier to not get them, we have søn, og så har vi sol. Søn og sol. So we have søn for son, in regards of a son of a father, and we have soul in regards of the son of the sky. So, but in English, you really have a problem in regards of variation, because it's, it's really hard to hear the difference. You need to context for that. But yeah, that's interesting, because we also call it soldat. In English, it's soldiers, and of course we know that a lot of, we get a lot of from Rome, and of course if a lot of the soldiers was, sun worshippers, that, who knows, I wonder, let's look soldiers up Latin and see what we have of information, if there might be something. Oh, well, here we have the Latin and the Danish, but how to say soldiers in Latin? Let's see how they say that. If there's anything, or if this is, it might not go. No, it actually says militum. So that's far from soldiers. But these words, of course, might still come from, might still have an idea of. Actually, yeah, we have Galigata. I'm not sure what that is. Galigata. That's soldiers. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Latin, I guess. Legions, Swadis, forces, expedients. Militibus is soldiers. Tin soldier, also English. Well, okay. So it doesn't really soldira. What is this? Is this from English? See also in English, tin soldier, similar words. Soldiri, where is that from? I'm not sure. Okay, I don't know. I don't know where that word would have come from. It would be interesting to follow up on that, to see if there could be anything truth, to it. Or if it's coming from it's interesting that the Latin is actually different in this time, because a lot of words where you can lead it back to the Latin, where you can see some that's English. Let's see, soldat in English. Sorry, Danish. I'm a little tired here. Okay, does it say anything where it's coming? Sometimes it says, like, for example, it comes from Germany or something like that. Oh, it's actually from Italian, soldato. Okay, it says it actually comes from soldo, soldato. It's in regards of pay or sold. Oh, actually, here we go. Of Latin, solidus, solid and fast, as a sign of a gold coin. That's what the Danish says, so it doesn't seem to actually, as far as I can see, go back, at least for the first here. Doesn't seem to go back in regards of the sun, you know. But, you know, of course, now we have the Latin, and of course I could look that word up, solidus, and see what that... It's a gold coin, apparently. A solidus is a gold coin. So I guess it might have been the payment for a soldier or something, I don't know. But that's what they say it's from. Going to Italian, soldato. So so Latin solidus, and going to Italian, I guess nowadays soldato, and soldato going. So apparently it does come from the Latin. The question is if it's, you know, this or that. But they say it's like a solid fast in regards of... It would be interesting with the other... Anyway, something to research further. Where was the video? I'll have a look on the video and see what they say, and do some research, I guess, on that. Anyway, have a good one. You know, there's a lot of bullshit out there, but, you know, so you have to be careful. But little by little we're getting closer. But yeah, I think that was a video of this, you know, because the Mohammedan actually did tell a lot of truth, you know. So I think the Mohammedan actually pretty much is the one that got the glory in some sense of this, being attacked by Christians that, you know, proclaim Christians that can't accept that there was some truth in the message that he talked about. So anyway, so pagan Mohammedan speaking the truth, and, you know, I don't know what to say more, you know, just disgusting. And they seem to be defending Roman Catholicism. I don't know. It's sad to see that. But again, there's more information that I could see with this guy, if anything. But there seems to be an agenda behind this video in regards of, you know, again, attacking the fundamental Protestants. And who are the fundamental? Well, they're those that actually believe some. And it's interesting, actually. He's actually admitting that the Protestants are believing some of the same things that he's saying. Isn't that interesting? He's actually admitting it, right? Because he's saying, you know, because of these, you know, there's some of these radical or fundamental Protestants, you know, that, you know. So he's actually admitting that they also, so, you know, it gets, you know, so it just gets tiring. So much bullshit out there. Take care, all of you, and Jehovah be with you, and Yeshua be your most precious pearl, and the spirit of truth be in us all. Amen. Have a good one. Shalom. Bye bye.